the billion-dollar man, Kevin Harrington, joining us now.
What's up, Kevin?
Can you hear us?
Hey there. What's happening, guys? How you doing? Huh? You're looking good. You're looking good.
Right back at you.
There he
Safe
Lane
flight.
changes.
What's up, my man?
I landed. Hey, it's good. Everything was running good today. Tampa, LA, no problem. Got in. I'm down in downtown LA now, and looking forward to hanging out with you guys for a little bit.
Awesome, brother.
We appreciate
jump
having you.
Yeah, we love having you on. We'll jump into it real quick so you can, invest your time wisely and then get off to what you need to do. So, Kevin, what we've been doing today is we've been interviewing a lot of the contributing authors from the book Life in the Fast Lane that we have here. We're launching it today, obviously, and you do some of your own books and you've been a part of a ton of them, and so we're very grateful to have you and your expertise in it. So what we want to do is just kind of spitfire a couple questions and have you just impart your wisdom and knowledge about all the things that you've accomplished. And I think every entrepreneur is going through lane changes and shifting and transitioning with today's economy and today's world.
Yep.
One of the biggest industries that you created and was the leader behind is transitioning in its own way because of technology and social media. So
Sure.
we're always transitioning, we're always shifting. And so let's start with just kind of your quick story. How in the world did you get into this? And one of the things I love about what you talk about in the book is the curiosity complex.
The overload.
The overload of the curiosity. Yeah. So I call it a complex just because it's complex in today's world, but the overload that you have and why that drives you still today.
Well, I think that I wake up some mornings ready to go on overload, so it's, I go back to the early days as a young entrepreneur, because now I can call myself an old entrepreneur, right? So I've been doing this 30 plus years. I've been an entrepreneur 40 plus years. So I used to go to all these different trade shows and hang out and see new ideas and new products. And I was at the Philadelphia Home Show and watching a guy, and he's cutting through a Coca-Cola can. And make a long story short, I watched this demo of this guy doing this, and I saw he was a super salesman. But what happened was, right at this time, I also had been watching television, and I saw that one channel in particular was called the Discovery Channel, which is a big channel today, but back then no one really even knew what it was. It was only an 18-hour-a-day network, 6 hours a day. It was dark, and then they put bars up on the screen, because if you just turn to a channel all the time, it's dark. What's that? It's like, well, is there something wrong with the channel? With bars up, you knew it's like, oh, okay, there's no programming. So I approached them and said, let me put products onto this downtime. It was 6 hours a day of downtime, and that was the early days when I pioneered this infomercial space. So that was back in the early 80s. We started with kitchen products and the Ginsu knife and products in the kitchen with Jack LaLanne and George Foreman, and then we got into fitness with Tony Little, and all of a sudden we were creating billions of dollars in sales. Hundreds of products, and who would have known that this became a whole industry, right? This, by the way, when I started, this was before QVC even existed, right? So QVC is they're worth like 15 billion today. They're all over the world. They're in China and Japan and Latin America and Asia and rather Europe, and it's like France, Germany, Italy, and so my industry is now a global industry. So product comes out, we start in the U.S., we take it around the world. But what's happened is this: there's been a transition and I call it disruption. With the world of digital and social media and people cutting the cord and getting away from watching TV, millennials don't even watch much TV anymore. So what's happened to like Home Shopping Network and QVC? Their sales are starting to drop a little, or and in a worst case, instead of increasing, they're having a hard time even flatlining, because their average consumer's in their 50s. And they're not staying up with the times of the new digital age. And, millennials aren't going to be watching HSN because they don't even have cable television, right? So this transition into digital has changed my industry. We now are selling products in a infomercial style almost, with shorter videos, but we've had to adapt. And now we're on Facebook, we're on Pinterest, we're on Instagram, we're on Amazon, we're on websites. And so we actually, just this past week, Walmart.com launched live shopping, right? Think about that. They're actually doing live shopping on their own .com, which is amazing. I love it. And Amazon's doing the same thing now. So the opportunities are out there for every entrepreneur that's out there listening to us right now to jump into this industry and actually have a bigger upside than existed before, because digital now is global and you can go overnight around the world. So it's a great opportunity, and that's what I say. As the lanes are moving around, you got to be a lane changer, because things shift and things move, and there's disruption right now.
That's how you become a key person of influence. I know that's something you talk a lot about in your speeches and all of the books. And, whenever I get to talk to you, you always talk about how do you become a key person of influence. And I remember the one slideshow that you share where, in traditional TV, you got to 1 million people like this. And, the radio got to 1 million people and it took them this long. And then with Facebook, they got to billions of people this quickly through new media outlets. And that's something you talk a lot about, and having to get out on new media outlets, and not just having to get out on the media outlets, but always keeping up with the current digital age, making videos shorter. And there's a stat where 95% of Facebook videos are watched without sound, right? That's right. Why you need captions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, just those numbers you're talking about, Harris. Radio took 38 years to get to 50 million listeners. Television took 13 years to get to 50 million viewers, but the Pokemon app got to 50 million downloads in 15 days. Okay, jeez. So think about that, right? We're not talking months, years, or anything. This is days that things are happening. So this is why Snapchat is going public at a $25 to $30 billion valuation. I mean, how many 20-something-year-old entrepreneurs, are able to say that they're doing billions like this, in a startup mode. So I mean, today, when I went from 0 to 500 million, this was back in the 80s and the 90s. I thought that was unbelievable. But today, it's 0 to billions. It's like it's a faster world with even more opportunity. So that's what I love about it.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Kevin. We had Betsy Allen Manning on earlier. She's one of the co-authors with all of us in the book, phenomenal leadership coach. We talked about having that constant curiosity overload, and then some people reach a certain level of success and then they get stagnant and they stop going to seminars and reading books. And Kevin, a man of your stature, you still go to trade shows all the time. Speaking with your assistant, you said you're always on a plane going somewhere, doing something. You still have that curiosity overload factor, and you've achieved, some amazing things and influenced billions of lives all around the world. How does one keep that, curiosity overload factor even when they reach a certain level of success and keep going?
Well, I've had a good tie into the Shark Tank brand, which is kept. It's really cool. And when Mark Burnett called me in 2008 and said, "Hey, can you come out here to LA? I want to tell you about Shark Tank." Actually, I joked because I said, "Hey, Mark, I know what you do to those people on that Survivor Island show. I don't know about Shark Tank. What are you going to do to me, right?" So I actually visualized people going into a Shark Tank, right? So. So I did, a ton of segments, 175, and they just keep rerunning them all over on CNBC and, hours of week, hours at night, actually, in some cases. And it's now running in 40 plus countries around the world. So what happens is I'm getting in, people are coming to me and they're asking me to come speak and asking me to do this. Mm-hmm. So look, I could say no, and I don't need to, I don't want to, but when I believe that when the world calls, it's like when I started with a few entrepreneurs back in 1987, we started the Young Entrepreneurs Organization. It's called YEO. And then as we got older, we changed it to EO. It's because we were older entrepreneurs and we weren't young anymore. So now EO is the world's largest entrepreneurial organization. It's in 45 countries and 150 plus cities around the world. And I get called from EO members on a weekly basis somewhere, whether it's Shanghai or India or London or Canada or New York City, you name it. And what do? I give back. So, I'm being called as an entrepreneur to come speak, to come do this, to come do that. And what generally happens is, yes, I put my time into it, and then I come back and I have an opportunity to join with the entrepreneurs all around the world to make it happen. So it's a lot of fun. And, probably over the next 5 years, I will start phasing my aggressive nature down in terms of hours a day that I work. But right now I'm probably easily hitting somewhere between 14 to 18-hour days and 6 days a week, it seems like, so. But I did over the holidays get a chance to play golf 2 days in a row over the Thanksgiving holiday. So that worked out great.
How'd you hit them?
One day good and one day bad. So, that's golf. So
yeah, exactly.
Ask Tiger Woods. He's going to find out this weekend. He's back to the course.
Yeah, he's back today, actually. Yeah, he's playing in his own tournament.
Exactly.
Well, we'll have to get the link soon.
Definitely.
Yeah, we'll do that maybe in December. So, Kevin, talk to us about just you already kind of talked about what still drives you, and it's the whole idea about giving back. I think so often that newer entrepreneurs, they focus so much on the money that they forget about the passion. They think that if they go chase the dollar, that everything will fall into place. And the truth of the matter is, you found a gap, just like Ron Klein, who invented the magnetic strip on the credit card. You're a problem seeker. You saw a problem. You saw a sales guy. You figured the exposure could be better, and you just put those two together and you merged a $500 million, empire. And I think that oftentimes we look at somebody's success and we say, oh, they just got lucky. We don't know the journey that they were on. Kevin's just on Shark Tank just because he's a good looking guy and he's successful or whatever. And the reality is that for 40 years, like you mentioned, every single day in and out, we don't see every single thing that you do. We just see you on TV sitting next to successful, wealthy people. And so for the entrepreneurs out there that are at their breaking point, want to give up, want to quit, or a Tiger Woods type person that want to come back, what is your advice to them? How do they stay focused on the lane that they should be in? And what would you counsel them on in that regards?
That's a great question. It's tough, to give a blank answer because different people are at different places. But what I say is, if you are in a lane where you see light at the end of the tunnel, and let's assume that most of the people that are listening right now, they're in a lane that they want to be in this lane. They're doing something day to day that they enjoy, that they love, and maybe they're just not there yet, right? So I always say that that is the time when you have to double down. That's the time when you have to when you have to keep pushing. You gotta like I'm doing my New Year's resolutions right now. December 1st is when I do mine, because if I wait until January 1, which is the day when most people do it on the night of the 31st, right? New Year's resolution, right? No, I do mine a month early because I want to hit the ground running on January 1st with what I'm going to do next year, because my year starts very aggressively in the first week of January. The CES show is like January 5th or 7th or something like that, right? So I don't have time. If I wait until the 1st of January to get started for 2017, I can't put things in place quick enough, just by the 5th. So I've got a 1 month jump on the rest of the world, and that's what what I'm doing is I see light at the end of the tunnel in the lane that I'm in, and you got to double down, you got to work harder, you got to put that plan in action, and then you don't be afraid to partner with people. Don't be afraid to bring in some experts. I call it a dream team, because sometimes you can't do it alone. Sometimes people, they get stuck and they're like, man, if I could just get something just to get me out of this rut. Well, hey, guess what? this is what the Young Entrepreneurs Organization was all about. We were young entrepreneurs, and we're like, hey, I'm going through this and this and this. Have you experienced that? Yeah, I have, as a matter of fact, and this is what I did. And wow, boy, the sharing of that information was so powerful that we were changing people's lanes and giving them faster speeds in those lanes by empowering them to do things. So that was what the Entrepreneurs Organization was all about. And that's what I say is, don't be afraid to reach out for a coach, a mentor, an advisor, and I call it the Dream Team. And so, I'm on, almost 30 dream teams myself right now, because I'm an investor and an owner of, close to that many, entities that I've got equity in, right? And I don't run the day-to-day of hardly any of them. A couple of them I do, but I don't want to run the day-to-day of these. I want to be able to impart my wisdom and give my advice where I've been to help them from getting into a rut or getting them out of that rut. So, just today, one of my companies, we put out a big press release. It's called Celsius, and we signed a deal with a huge company in Asia. One of the world's richest men, Li Kai-shing, is giving us distribution across all of Asia in the Watson stores for one of our product lines. And so this is a move that I made about 3 years ago to get involved with this group, Horizon Media Ventures, out of Hong Kong, and Li Kai-shing. And if you Google Celsius and all this, you'll see this is an amazing little story. We have 25x'd the stock price on this company in the last 3 years. So it happened by bringing in a team. And after I got involved, I brought in Flo Rida, and then Flo Rida brought in Russell Simmons, and then Russell Simmons brought in, the Goldman Sachs folks, and then all of a sudden, boom, it started happening, and we changed the speed that we were going in that lane. We saw light at the end of the tunnel, and we made it happen.
Awesome! Congratulations.
Awesome.
Thank you.
No,
thank
awesome,
you.
Kevin. Two quick things. Anyone that has a question for Kevin, please post it in the comments. I'm engaging with everyone. Post your question. We'll give you a shout out. We'll, ask Kevin the question for you. Kevin, 2 years ago, you were at an event called CEO Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization. I know you were here this year too, but I specifically remember 2 years ago, you got a Hall of Fame, Best of the Best award, and I moderated for you, brought you up on stage, and you gave a phenomenal speech. Right after you got off, you had hundreds of people running after you, trying to get a selfie, trying to talk with you for a quick second, trying to give you their business card, in a room of, I think it was 2,000 people, college students.
Great, I loved it.
And I remember everyone chasing after you. And how does one get around a shark, and how does one kind of stick out from the crowd? Because, if I give you my business card and there's 150 people chasing after you, the likelihood of you remembering who I am is really difficult.
Well, it is difficult. I will say this. Some people give me a business card and they'll also maybe put a little something on it or a little note with it or something like that. I read all those things. And so, yes, I do. I try to respond to as many of them as I can, because obviously, I'm running out of from one thing to the next, and it's tough. I can't take 100 pitches when I'm coming off of the stage. But a lot of times I do share ways to get a hold of me or people in my staff, and my son Brian Harrington is part of my team. And so I like, we look, my business, this whole curiosity overload, I teach it to my kids too. So I've got 2 boys, and Brian's been with me 7 years now, so he gets inundated with inquiries, and then, hey, they rise to the top, he brings it to me. So all these are ways to, if it, like, I remember, and this is kind of a crazy little story, but 20-some years ago, I got challenged to get a meeting with Donald Trump. And his book, Art of the Deal, had just come out. And I said, give me 1 week and I'll have a meeting with Donald Trump. And they're like, oh, bullshit, you'll never get there. And so I said, I called the author of his book, the co-author, and I told him that I wanted to buy a whole bunch of books at a wholesale price. And within 72 hours, I was sitting in front of Donald Trump talking about that. And so, I couldn't call Donald himself, but I got through to his co-author of his book. So you've got to get creative when you want to track somebody down. It's not always the easiest thing in the world. Hey, by the way, do you think he's a little tougher to get a hold of today than he was 20 years ago? Probably so. But I will tell you this. I'm going to be talking to Mr. Trump in the very near future because I know how to do that, and I'm working on something very, very exciting that I can't talk about on this call. But it's all in how you approach the situation. But I wanted to get hold of Bill Clinton when he was the president, and I had dinner with him at the Hay Adams Hotel right across the street from the White House. So you want give me a challenge and I'll get it done. Is my attitude.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I remember the way I met you. I went to one of Laurel's events, and I flew all the way from Omaha, Nebraska to San Diego, and I ended up meeting Richard Harrington, and then I just kept showing up event after event to, where you were, and kept, putting my face to a name and getting out there and getting creative.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I got 2 minutes left, guys. So I'm sorry. I'm jumped out of a meeting. A bunch of people are staring at me like, when are you coming back? So
No, good.
I'm glad that we got a chance to get this rolling here today, and I'm excited for you, Lane, for the book coming out and all the people. So you got a pretty hectic day, I guess, today, right?
Yeah, today's crazy, but it's all about everybody involved, not about us anymore. We're the backseat drivers in this thing. We're just allowing everybody else to drive it forward. So we appreciate your contribution. And we'll be seeing you on the 29th, I think. I'll bring my golf clubs now that I know you. Now that I know I can beat you, hopefully. And we'll make a little wager about. We'll create a challenge together to see. Because I think at the end of the day, that's a success secret for everybody that grinds like you do, is figure out a way to make it work. There's no excuses. It's just, if you want this, go get it and figure out a way. And that's
I may need some strokes there then, Lane. Okay.
That's fine. We'll figure out the handicaps. But yeah, man, we appreciate you, Kevin. Go rock.
Congratulations
Thank
on the book, and I'm glad to be associated with you guys. So thank you so much. Good luck, and I'll see you soon.
Brother.
Okay.
All right,
Happy
Kevin.
holidays.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye bye.
You too.
See you, Kevin.
Awesome.